Autumn is approaching, time to roll down your sleeves. The first evening chill arrives with the falling of the leaves. Red and gold become to us the colour of change and decay. For as the seasons are concerned, this has always been the way. These changes have and always will decide how things must be. Autumn's fall and winter's chill will choose the fates of you and me.
You know, the world of English is a fun and exciting place to be. I'm so glad you could join me for another lesson.
Are we on? Are we on? Are we streaming live to the world? I think so. Hi everybody, how are you today? Are you okay? I hope so. Are you happy? I hope so. Welcome everyone. It is Sunday once again. These weeks really do go by very quickly, don't you think? And of course it is a brand new month. Let's start off by saying a big hello to October. October has arrived. I always get very excited when a new month arrives because it means that Mr. Steve will change his underwear. And here is September's underwear. This is actually Mr. Steve's underwear from September. Can you see it? Look at that. It's disgusting. Look at all of the holes. So these are Mr. Steve's pants for September. So thank goodness he's actually changed his underwear. So that's one of the reasons why I get very excited when a new month arrives. So here we go. It's Mr. Duncan. That's me. And I teach English on YouTube. I am YouTube's best kept secret. It's true. Virtually no one knows who I am on YouTube anymore, thanks to the wonderful algorithms. Can I say a big thank you to YouTube and the algorithms for managing to keep me a complete secret on YouTube. So thank you very much for that. I'm so happy that is actually happening. So here we go. It is Sunday the 1st of October, a brand new month. And of course, this month is very special for me because I will be celebrating another anniversary, another year on YouTube. It will be, can you believe it? It will be 11 years since I started teaching English on YouTube. So at the end of this month, on the 31st of October, 2017, I will celebrate my 11th year. It's true. I'm not joking. I have been here on YouTube teaching English for nearly 11 years. Some of you have been asking about the neighbours because I have some new neighbours now living next door. We are getting along very well. We've only had one fight so far. We had a little bit of a fight the other night because something trivial. But there we were on the grass, punching and kicking. It was all over very quickly. But we've only had one fight so far. So there we go. My new neighbours are settling in very well. I was just joking, by the way. That was a joke. There will be lots of jokes today on the show because that's the kind of show it is, you see. Lots of people are here on the live chat. We can't forget the live chatters because you are the reason why I am here today. Yes, that's the reason why I do this. I don't do this for me. I do this for you. So here we go. The live chat is up and running. Shirin is here. Hello Shirin, thank you for joining me. Also Julie, Hadil, Andrew, Patricia, Patricia is watching in France. Hello to you, and hello to Patricia and everyone watching in Gay, Paris, and of course France. Abril, hello to Abril. Kien is here. Wow, so many people already on the live chat. Attila is here. Hello Attila, nice to see you here. Hi Mr. Duncan, how are you? I'm great today, although this morning I was in a bit of a hurry, very disorganised today. Chaos here today. I will talk a little bit more about that later on, but let's just say here it's been a little bit chaotic, so I might reveal a little bit more about that later on. We'll see what happens. Hadil, hello Hadil, thanks for joining me. Iman, Tom, Mohammed Essa, I hope you are well. I am very well. Thank you very much for asking. Olga is here. Hello Olga, how are you today? I hope you are feeling well. Some news today from Saudi Arabia. Apparently women are going to be allowed to drive cars on the road. So that's something to look forward to. I'm sure it'll be okay. Thank you very much for your lovely emails. I received some lovely emails last week concerning my little contest to draw a picture of Mr. Steve and myself. Thank you very much to Eugene, who sent this amazing picture of Mr. Steve. There he is on the right, and also me on the left. Thank you very much, Eugene, and I do apologise for not having time last week to show your picture. That is an amazing drawing. Thank you so much. And also we had a drawing sent in. I think this comes from Russia. I love this picture so much. I don't know why. Rudkovskaya. Thank you very much for this drawing that you sent last week. And I think you've captured Mr. Steve very well there. You've really captured the character of Mr. Steve and also myself as well. So thanks a lot for that. Last week I mentioned that the house at the moment is being attacked by insects. Would you like to have a look at the insect in question? There are thousands and thousands of these flying around at the moment. It is a ladybird. And there is one that I filmed in the house this week. A little ladybird walking up the window. And there it is. Beautiful creature. And of course they can fly. Isn't that lovely? A little ladybird. Amazing creatures. It's not very often that you get to see a ladybird close up. So even I am fascinated by this piece of video footage. Oh, look, he's having a little clean. Can you see the ladybird? It's cleaning its antennas. How lovely. And of course, you must know by now that I am absolutely crazy about animals. I love animals so much. So there it was this week. One of many, many ladybirds that are attacking my house at the moment. Quite a few. We had a drama this week, by the way, a big drama last Sunday. In fact, it was last Sunday after last week's live stream. All of the water supply in this area went off. It was cut off. So all of the water in the area in which I live was actually cut off. It stopped. So there was a slight emergency in this area. In fact, it was so serious. There were large lorries driving around full of water, and they were actually pumping water into the pipes to make sure that we all had water. And in some cases, they were actually giving water out in certain parts of the area in which I live. It was amazing. It was like I was expecting helicopters to fly over, dropping things attached to parachutes, bottles of water attached to parachutes, dropping into the garden. It was treated very seriously, I must say. But a big thank you to Severn Trent Water for making sure that we all had water last weekend, because the water was cut off. Apparently tomorrow we have what remains of Hurricane Maria tomorrow. So Hurricane Maria is now just a small storm, but tomorrow apparently here in the UK we are going to get Hurricane Maria, or should I say what is left of Hurricane Maria. So it shouldn't be too serious. Talking of outside, later on we are going into the garden, because during the week Mr. Steve and myself, we have been very busy outside, very busy indeed. We were doing some big chores because of course autumn is here. Can you see? Can you see all of the leaves? Can you see that autumn has arrived? So we were outside doing some very important garden chores before the weather gets too bad. So that's what we've been doing this week, and you will have a chance later on to see what that is all about. Ooh. Also coming up later on, we have some clips, some video clips from one of my English lessons. And of course there are lots of English lessons on my YouTube channel. Can you see there? All of my lessons are in the playlists under this video, so you can find them all underneath the video. Also later on, I've received a message from someone asking, Mr. Duncan, what does Mr. Steve do as his job? Well, today at 3 o'clock we are going to find out exactly what Mr. Steve does as his main job a little bit later on. Yes, Mr. Steve will be here at 3 o'clock today, so don't forget, Mr. Steve will be right here on YouTube. He will be giving us one flash word, and also he will be here at 3 o'clock live as live can be. Today we are talking about childhood memories, and I'm hoping that you will get involved as well. So I would love to hear from you if you have any childhood memories, any memories from your childhood, perhaps a nice moment that you treasure. Also later on we will find out what Duncan, that's me, and Steve looked like as children. So you will find out what we look like as children a little bit later on, because we have some photographs of ourselves taken when we were little. So we will be sharing some moments from our childhood. Mr. Steve will be telling us all about his upbringing. Now, maybe this is something I haven't mentioned before, but Mr. Steve is quite posh. You may have noticed from his accent, because quite a few people have said, Mr. Duncan, we like Mr. Steve's accent, it's very posh. And yes, I think it's true that Mr. Steve is very posh, maybe even posher than me. I know it seems impossible, but I think Mr. Steve might be very, very posh indeed. So autumn is here. Shall we have a look at a clip from one of my autumn lessons? I have actually made 2 or 3 lessons talking about autumn, but also I've made a big lesson where I talk all about the season of autumn. So let's have a look at an excerpt from one of my lessons, and this is just a small excerpt from this particular lesson where I talk all about the season that we are in now. Autumn!
So, what makes autumn so special? Well, just like spring, autumn is a period of transition. You could say that it is the opposite of spring in the sense of it being the time when plants and trees, and even many wild animals, prepare for the onset or arrival of winter. It is the season when almost everything in nature winds down. The leaves on the trees turn gold and fall to the ground. Flowers will wither away after shedding their seeds. Animals will begin to store food in their nests and burrows. The days will become shorter and the nighttime temperature will begin to drop.
It's live, it's Sunday, and here we are once again all together on the live stream every Sunday. Don't forget, I am here every single Sunday from 2 p.m. UK time, and of course don't forget all of my English lessons are available. You can watch them all as many times as you want, including the live stream you are watching now. So if you want to watch this later, if you don't have time to watch all of this, don't worry, because you can watch it later on. And of course, when we replay the live stream, there are subtitles as well. That is later on. But at the moment we are definitely live. It is now 23 minutes past 2 o'clock. I love autumn. Do you like autumn? Now, not everyone has autumn in their country, because some countries are very hot and they just have tropical weather all year, and their seasons are defined by how wet or how dry it is. But here we have 4 seasons: spring, summer, which has just come to an end, and now we are entering the season of autumn. I must admit, I love autumn very much. It is a very atmospheric and also, I think, meaningful. So it's atmospheric and also meaningful. It is a very interesting season. All of the leaves on the trees die off. Certain trees do not lose their leaves, of course. There are evergreens which don't lose their leaves, but many of the trees do. They lose their leaves. You can see here behind me. Look at all the leaves. These leaves are fresh from my garden. And I've just realised in a couple of days this is going to be a terrible mess for me to clean up. So I'm not sure if that's a good idea. You can find the full version, the full 20-minute version of my English lesson all about autumn, if you want to watch it. The link is underneath this live stream. Live chat is very busy today. Wow, thank you very much for joining me. Aurora Ruber says, I'm watching your playlist videos. They are wonderful. Thank you very much for that. Nellie is here. Hello, Nellie. Nellie says, you are the best person for learning English from. Thank you very much for that. Simona is here. Hi, Simona. Also, Elk. Hello, Elk. Have we spoken before? I'm not sure. Elk is watching in Germany. It might also be Elkie. So if I have pronounced your name wrong, I do apologise. Mr. Duncan and everyone, hello from Zena. Wow, thanks for joining me today, Zena. Petya, Truck, And also Anna. Apparently Anna is watching in the UK. Is that true? Where are you watching at the moment? You are in the UK, I see. Later on today, we are going to have some live chat with Mr. Steve. Mr. Steve will be over there in the corner of the studio. And today we will find out what Mr. Steve's job actually is. What does Mr. Steve do during the week when we are not doing the live stream? What does Mr. Steve really do in life? We'll find out later on. And of course, we're talking about childhood memories today. What childhood memories do you have? Do you have any lovely memories from your childhood? We will be talking about that later. Plus some photographs as well. Some photographs of Mr. Steve and also myself when we were young, when we were just children. In the field at the moment, at the back of my house, can you see the bulls? The bulls are still there. Although, having said that, there are not many left, because last week a few of them were taken away. I have some terrible news to tell you that there are now just 3 bulls left in the field. So this is something I filmed this morning. I've actually filmed this morning. What are those 2 bulls doing there? What's that bull doing to the other bull? What's he doing? What's he trying to do there? Something very interesting, very intriguing going on there. Leave him alone. He's not interested. I think that bull seems very interested in the other bull. I'm not sure why. So now there are only 3 bulls left. There were 8, but now there are only 3. Oh dear. Can you guess where they've gone? Do you know where the bulls have gone? Not very nice at all. Den Tran Van is here. It is raining cats and dogs here in Ho Chi Minh City. Rita Maria Gomez is here. Hello, Rita. A big hello to you. Good morning, Mr. Duncan. My house is very chaotic. I'm moving to another neighbourhood. Oh my goodness. You have my sympathy there. It is very difficult. It is one of the most stressful things in life. Apparently, moving to another house. So you have to pack all of your things and then you have to move to another house. I did it in 2013 when I moved here. I had to pack everything away and move. It's very stressful. So I know how you feel, Rita. I really do. Mao Xing Chan says, hi everyone. Hello, Mao. Edgar Chung is here. Oh, Edgar. Hello, Edgar. I believe you are watching at the moment in Manchester. All right. Calm down. All right. I'm not sure if that's a Manchester accent. Ernesto. Hello from Bari in the south of Italy. Oh, I'm pretty sure the weather is nice at the moment there. Australia at the moment is having a heat wave. It's very hot at the moment in Australia. A couple of days ago, it was over 45 degrees in Australia. That is very hot. I have to say it's not 45 degrees here today. It's very cool here in the UK. Renee Najuan says, I love your lessons, Mr. Duncan. Thank you very much for that. It's been so chaotic here this morning. Would you like to see just how chaotic it's been here this morning? Now, normally every week we have flash words, and normally we film these before we go on air or before we start the stream. But this morning we were in such a rush. In fact, let me just show you how chaotic it was here this morning. Oh my goodness, there's only 10 minutes before today's live stream starts and I still don't have any flash words. Where's Mr. Steve? We have to record the flash words. Where is he? Mr. Steve, where are you? Mr. Steve, Mr. Steve. Oh, he's in the bathroom. Mr. Steve, we need the flash words.
Huh?
Today's flash words.
I'm cleaning my teeth.
But we have to have at least one flash word.
Why don't you just use one from a couple of weeks ago? No one will know.
I think they will notice. Can you just do one?
Oh, all right.
Just one flash word. Here it is.
Sake. What's this? Oh. Shoddy. The word shoddy is both an English adjective and noun that means badly made or done. If something has been made with poor workmanship or without care, then we can say that the thing is shoddy. Those toys might be cheaper than the others, but they look so shoddy. I complained to the shop about their shoddy service. Shoddy can also mean lacking moral principles. You displayed a shoddy attitude in your business practices. If something is badly made or done, or if a person behaves without morals or integrity, then we can say that the thing is shoddy or has been done shoddily. As a noun, the word shoddy means fabric or yarn that is of inferior quality. The origin of shoddy is unknown. Shoddy.
Thank you, Mr. Steve. And I must admit, I think your presentation was a little bit shoddy as well.
Well, I need to clean my teeth because I'm on in about an hour and 10 minutes. So off you go and start the show, Mr. Duncan.
Of course, Mr. Steve will be with us live at 3 o'clock. So that happened this morning. Can you see just how chaotic it was here? Chaos was everywhere in the house. So there was Mr. Steve. So that is the one and only flash word today, unfortunately. I'm very sorry about that. But as you could see there, as you could see in that clip, Mr. Steve was very busy cleaning his teeth. We have the mystery idioms. Now, last week we didn't have the mystery idioms. I received quite a few complaints saying, Here, Mr. Duncan, where are the mystery idioms? We like trying to solve the mystery idioms. Where are they? You better have some next week, or we'll come round and smash your face in. That's not very nice, is it? So today we have some mystery idioms. Would you like to see the mystery idioms now? Okay, here they come. Here is the first mystery idiom. So, mystery idiom number 1. All you have to do is say what you see. Say what you see. Mystery idiom number 1. Just say what you see. This is a well-known expression in English. Something we use quite often. But what is the mystery idiom? So there is the first one. Would you like to see the other one? Here is mystery idiom number 2. Ooh, and there is the second one. I'm not quite sure what's going on there. That is one of my more unusual mystery idioms. I'm not sure what is actually happening there, but do you know? If you think you know, please let me know on the live chat. Thanks a lot for joining me. October has arrived. Yes, October is here, and as I mentioned earlier, it is my 11th year on YouTube. On the 31st of October 2006, I uploaded my first ever video, and I've been here ever since. I know it seems amazing, it seems unbelievable, but I'm still here doing the same thing I was doing 11 years ago. Analytic Brain is here. Hello, Analytic Brain. Hi, Mr. Duncan. How are you? I'm from Hungary. I like the childhood photograph of you on the thumbnail for today's live stream. Yes, today's live stream has a little picture of me when I was little, and we will be seeing much more of that later on. Let's have a look at one of my lessons now. There are many lessons on my YouTube channel, including Ask Mr. Duncan. And this is a special series of lessons where I answer your questions.
Oh, sorry. I'm going to have to go now. Some friends have just arrived. Sorry about that. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye. Hi, everybody. This is Mr. Duncan in England. How are you today? Are you okay? I hope so. Are you happy? I hope so. Well, the chilly days and freezing nights are finally here, and already it really does feel like winter here in England. So now I'm wearing my extra layers of clothing, including my extra long underwear. Yes, here I am once again with another selection of your questions and comments. So without any more shivering, and before I turn a pretty shade of blue and freeze to death, let's have our first question for today.
Can we change a present continuous sentence into a passive voice?
This question was sent in by Javed Afsoon in Pakistan. When stating something, we usually have a choice of how to express it. We can put the emphasis or importance on the person. For example, he has cancelled the meeting. This is a present perfect active sentence. We usually use has or have in this type of sentence. For one person, we use has, and for two or more people, we use have. He has. Mary has. The group have. They have. If we say the meeting has been cancelled, then we are giving importance to the event. This is a present perfect passive sentence. We use has been or have been. It has been. They have been. Present perfect continuous expresses an action that is ongoing. It is happening now. The emphasis is on you. Even as I speak, the building is burning. The passive voice expresses the building and what is happening to it. The emphasis or importance is on the object. The building is still being destroyed by the fire, even as I speak. The problem with passive speech is that it can make the sentence too formal. It becomes too complex. The active sense speeds the sentence up. Active speech is more common in present perfect continuous because you can express more by saying less.
Your nice emails.
I have received a nice email from Kataili and Mamudu, who live in Mali, which is in West Africa. Thank you for your kind words, and I'm more than happy to welcome you to my ever-growing global classroom. There's plenty of room for everyone. I have also received a nice message from Julian, who lives in France. Julian is learning English in preparation for a trip he is taking with his girlfriend Margot to New York in March next year. I'm happy to hear that my lessons are helping you, and I wish you both a great time in the Big Apple, and a special bonjour to you both as well. I have also received a nice email from Slavek Trzynski in Poland, who studies English by using the internet and watching the television. Needless to say, this is the reason why I teach here on the internet. It is a great way of giving as many people as possible the chance to study English, wherever they happen to be in the world. A big hello to you, Slovak, and everyone watching in Poland.
It's that time again.
Ladies and gentlemen, kings, princesses, princes and queens, it's the moment everyone has been waiting for. A gulp, a sigh, a poke in the eye. It's the word of the week. This week's word has only 4 letters and appears towards the end of a dictionary. The word is zeal. This noun relates to having an enthusiastic nature, or to be enthusiastic about something, to be devoted to a subject or cause, to display a passion for something. He has a zeal for art. Mr. Duncan has a zeal for teaching. Synonyms include dedication, devotion, enthusiasm, fervour, keenness, and passion. The opposite of zeal is apathy.
Some freezing idioms.
There are many idioms and expressions connected with the cold and the low temperatures. Cold shoulder, to ignore or snub someone. You give them the cold shoulder. Out in the cold, to leave someone out of a group activity or to be left out. You are not wanted. You have been left out in the cold. Freeze, frozen. When the level of something remains unchanged, it stays at the same level. Petrol prices have been frozen. To put something on ice, to postpone something or delay it. Plans for the new supermarket have been put on ice. Chill, a slang word meaning to relax and take it easy. You rest for a while. You chill out.
How do we express habits and actions using past tense?
This question comes from Katrina, who lives in the Ukrainian city of Odessa. When we talk about the things we have done in the past, there are certain words we must use to show that this is so. Using past tense may seem confusing, but with practice it is quite easy to master. If we are talking about something we did in the past but no longer do now, then we say used to. I used to travel by bus. I used to belong to a rock band. I used to trust you. We are clearly showing that something we did in the past is no longer done. We can show that something was done in the past for a certain period of time. In this case, we can use did. I did yoga for a few months last year. I did some voluntary work last summer. We use the word went when talking about past movements or travel. I went to Turkey for my holiday. I went to visit my friends in Scotland. Other words include always and have. I always stay with my family at Christmas. I have always taken care of myself. I have always been keen on nature. In these sentences, we are showing that the habit is still continuing, right up until now. Just before I go back indoors to chip the ice off my knees, I would like to send a big special hello to all of my new friends on Facebook. Since the last Ask Mr. Duncan, I have had over 500 people join me on my page, so hello to all of you. Thank you also for the many kind messages concerning the 4th anniversary of my teaching English here on YouTube. I have to say that I would never have made it this far were it not for all of you and your kind words of encouragement and support. So thank you for watching me teaching you during these past 4 years, and I promise to continue doing this for as long as you want me to. That is all from me for today. Look out for my next full lesson coming your way very soon, which will be... Lesson 60. Wow. I look forward to seeing you all again very soon. This is Mr. Duncan in a very chilly England saying thank you for watching me answering you. And of course, ta-ta for now!
Badoo! Going right back in time there to such a long time ago, way back to 2010. Did I look fat there? I think I look a bit fat in that video. I know from time to time I did put a little bit of weight on and then I went thin again, but I look very fat in that video. And can I just say, I remember when I made that particular edition of Ask Mr. Duncan, I had to go outside and carry everything out outside the place where I was filming, and it took me ages, such a long time to set that up. So there it was, an Ask Mr. Duncan lesson from 2010. In 15 minutes we have Mr. Steve coming into the studio. The big question, of course, what does Mr. Steve do as his main job? He will be revealing it to us today. He will show us exactly what he does during the week when he's not here live. Also, a little bit later on, we're going out in the garden, and we are also talking about autumn today. I've had some responses to the mystery idioms. Here they are again for those who missed them. Well done. We've had quite a few people sending their answers. Some of them are correct and some of them are not correct. Eliseo, Maigan, Maria, Zena and Olga have all made guesses for today's mystery idioms. And there is the second one. But what is it? What are the mystery idioms today? What exactly are they? Do you know what they are? There is the second one and there is the first one. Once again, we've had a few answers. Some of the answers are not correct and some of them are. I will, of course, reveal the answers later on just for you. Here's an interesting word. Now, this is a word that apparently a lot of people are looking up on the Oxford University Press Dictionary, the Oxford Dictionary of the English Language, the online version. Lots of people are looking at this word. Now, for those who follow the news, you will know that Donald Trump used this word a couple of weeks ago, and many people are trying to find out what the word means. So for those who don't know what this means, first of all, it is pronounced dotard. Dotard. And a dotard is an old person, an old, confused, worn out person. So a person who might be old in the mind or might be very confused or just elderly can be described as a dotard. If I'm not mistaken, I believe this is from Shakespeare. I think Shakespeare actually coined this particular phrase. Talking of phrases and words, we are going to look at abbreviations today with Mr. Steve. So when Mr. Steve joins us at 3 o'clock, we are going to take a look at abbreviations. There are many different types of abbreviation. We are going to look at 2 types of abbreviations. What else are we doing today? Oh, we are talking all about autumn. Would you like to have a look at another clip from my autumn lesson? This is a full-length lesson all about autumn. So what you are seeing today are just short excerpts, but you can watch the whole lesson underneath this video. The link is right underneath the video. So, what is autumn? Do you like autumn? Have you ever experienced it?
has their own favourite season. For me, I have to pick summer as my favourite, closely followed by spring, autumn and winter. I would love to live in a place that has long, hot summers. A sunny climate really does cheer the soul, but then I would find myself missing the unique sensation of walking out on a snowy winter's day. So, living in England gives me the chance to experience both, with spring and autumn added as a pleasant bonus. Do you have many seasons in your country? Which one is your favourite?
So, have you ever experienced autumn? Maybe you don't have autumn where you are. Some countries are tropical, they are hot, they have no autumn season. They just have hot and wet, hot and dry, and that's it. But here in the UK we have 4 beautiful seasons. I think my favourite season must be autumn. I also like winter. I think winter is a very interesting season as well. Although, having said that, the winters here are not the same as they used to be. I remember in my childhood, this is something we're going to talk about today, by the way, childhood memories. I remember that winter was always cold and there was always lots and lots of snow. But nowadays, we hardly get any snow. It hardly ever snows during the winter. In fact, last winter, we didn't really have any snow. Very strange. So I remember winter as being a very cold, very snowy, and it was lovely when you could stay in the house and be warm, and then you would go outside after the snow has fallen and you would play in the snow. Very, very nice. So I like autumn, but which particular season do you like? Have you ever experienced autumn? A lot of people haven't. Thanks to Jamelia. Jamelia has made guesses for today's mystery idioms. Here they are once again for those who aren't sure. Mystery idioms. Just say what you see. And there is the second one. I think the first one is very easy. I think this is very easy actually. And here is the second one. Mystery idioms. But what are they? If you think you know, just let me know. I've just had a message come through from, let's see. Oh, I think it's from Mika Ode. Mr. Duncan, I have many wonderful memories of my childhood. Many wonderful memories of my childhood. And also I have many scary memories as well, such as an accident when I was hit by a car, or when I lost my way on the way from a friend's house. When you're a child, now this is something I definitely remember. When you're very young, everything seems so big, so huge. I remember my garden at home. Now, the garden at the back of my house where I was raised wasn't very large. It isn't a very big garden. But I always remember as a child thinking that the garden was huge. It seems so vast and large. I don't know what it is. When you are very small, when you are tiny, I think it must be the scale, because you're small and everything around you is big. So everything always seemed larger when you were small. So imagine walking around the streets when you're a child. Everything seems so strange and you can get lost very easily. So thank you, Mika, for that. One of today's questions. We're looking at your childhood memories. Do you have any memories from your childhood? A nice moment that you treasure. If you treasure something, it means you keep it safe in your memory. Something that you enjoyed, or maybe a memory that you like very much. You can say that you treasure it. So treasure can actually be used as a verb. So to treasure something is to have it in a safe place. Something that you look back on with fondness. You treasure something. You keep something safe. You treasure it. Den Tran Van. Mr. Duncan, I love Vietnam and I love everybody. Well, I like your attitude. That is a very good attitude to have. I think so. Semi Bozkurt says, today in Turkey we have a rainy day, but my favourite season is winter because it is so cosy to stay near the fireplace. I agree, I think so. And drink some hot coffee whilst watching the TV. Thank you, Semi Bozkurt, for your message all the way from Turkey. I have been to Turkey. I've been to Turkey twice, and there is actually a video lesson on my YouTube channel with me in Turkey. It's true. Long Najuan is here. Hello, Long Najuan. Eliana says, I love autumn very much, and I love it so much that I'm travelling next October to the UK. Eliana, is that true? Are you really coming here to the UK? My goodness, you will have to look me up. Maybe we can have a cup of tea together. An English cup of tea. That sounds like fun. Arn Najok says, my country has 4 seasons. I like autumn too. I think autumn is a very magical time of year. I think so. So I agree with what you say. We were out in the garden during the week. We will take a look at something that we did earlier this week. Mr. Steve and myself, we were very busy in the garden this week, and you will have Mr. Steve here in just under 4 minutes. 4 minutes to go before Mr. Steve arrives. Olga is here. Thanks, Olga, for saying hello again. The winner is here. Hello, the winner. What is your actual name, though? Because I do notice on the live chat lots of people use nicknames. So sometimes I'm very interested to know what your real name is. So don't be shy. Give it a try, or else you'll make Mr. Duncan cry. Mr. Steve is just around the corner. He will be revealing his job today, what Mr. Steve does during the week when we are not on the live stream. Apparently, I can't believe this. Is this true? Apparently, Olga says it is snowing today in the place where I live. Olga, you are having snow already. I'm a little bit jealous, to be honest, because we don't really get snow anymore here in the UK. It's not fair, really. Rossa is here. Oh, Mr. Duncan, I would like to visit Ireland because my friend and her husband live there. Rossa, Ireland is a very beautiful place, very scenic, and the people there are very friendly indeed. Zakura Abid, Zakura is here. We have 4 seasons in Afghanistan. Thank you very much for that, and a big hello to Afghanistan. Eliana, I love autumn so much. I think I've read this already. Eliana, where will you be staying though? Where are you going to visit? Are you going to visit London? I think so. I think Eliana will be going to London because lots of people do visit London, but I do hope that you get a chance to explore other parts of the UK as well, because the UK is a wonderful place. We will be talking to Mr. Steve about childhood memories, but do you have any memories from your childhood? We will be sharing some nice memories and some not so nice memories. So Mr. Steve will be here very soon, and we will be talking all about abbreviations as well. Do you know abbreviations? Abbreviations, when we abbreviate something, it means we make it shorter. So if you make something short, you abbreviate it. You make it shorter so you can say it faster. We normally abbreviate things to save time. Hi from Iraq. I like winter. Yes, winter is a nice season, but unfortunately we don't get snow anymore here. I think it might have something to do with global warming. I'm not sure, but I think it might have something to do with it. Alvaro says, hello, Mr. Duncan. I am watching you in Peru. Hi, a big hello to Peru. Please say hello to Peru. I just did. So Mr. Steve is on standby. Lots of people love listening to Mr. Steve. They say, Mr. Steve is very posh. Someone said earlier, I can't remember who, but someone said Mr. Steve sounds like the Queen. He does sound a bit like a queen, doesn't he? I mean, the Queen. Yes, I think you're right there. So here he comes. Mr. Steve is on the way. It is now 3 o'clock, boys and girls. So for all those out there, for all those watching at the moment, for all of the thousands and thousands of Mr. Steve fans, your wait is over. Can you see what it says there on the screen? It says live English, and that is what it is. It is live English on a Sunday afternoon. It's Mr. Duncan. That's me. And also joining me right now in the corner, the dark corner of the studio, hidden away from public view, it's Mr. Steve. Oh my goodness, you look very stern there, Mr. Steve. What are you doing, Mr. Steve? Oh my goodness. Mr. Steve. Mr. Steve, please. What? Mr. Steve, what was that? What was that?
Huh?
What are you doing?
Oh, hang on. I can't hear you. Oh, that's better.
What are you doing, Mr. Steve? Now what we were doing today, what we were going to do is reveal your true job, and actually we've just done it. And there it is. Mr. Steve is a professional grinder. That's what
I do.
That's what he does all week. So when he's not doing live streams, he is actually out and about in Shropshire grinding things. In fact, he has his own website, don't you?
Do I?
Do you? I'm sure you do. Didn't you tell me that last week?
I do have a website, that is correct.
Yes. Where you talk about your grinding.
Well, there's lots of things that need grinding in your studio. There's sort of rough edges over everything.
Are you going to grind something now?
Oh, no, because it's dangerous to do that in your studio. Hello, everyone, by the way.
By the way, if there are any children watching, do not try what Mr. Steve just did. Do not play with power tools. Do not do anything like that unless you are supervised by an adult, okay? Unless there is an adult supervising you, you can just go crazy and do what you want. But unless there's an adult there.
I had my goggles on, and I also had my ear defenders.
Oh, can we have another look, Mr. Steve? Can we have a look at your goggles?
They're down here.
So these are Mr. Steve's goggles.
They're my goggles. Ow. They're my goggles. Goggles. To keep me safe so that nothing flies into my eyes.
They do suit you.
Thank you.
They really suit you. So those are called goggles. Do you know you can also call glasses or spectacles as goggles informally? So we can use goggles to mean just normal glasses, but those are protective goggles.
Protective goggles.
They protect your eyes from dust and particles.
Yes.
And what else? What's the yellow thing?
These are to protect my ears against loud noises, and I use these a lot. Ear defenders.
You don't have to shout.
Okay. Ear protectors. I use them when I'm
using anything that creates a lot of noise, such as that grinder, such as the lawnmower, or the strimmer, or the hedge cutter, because if you don't, and you do this for many years, your ears will deteriorate and you'll be partially deaf.
When you say your ears
older.
deteriorate, do you mean the ears actually just fall off, do they?
No, your hearing will deteriorate. Your hearing will deteriorate over time.
Your ears deteriorate, you see. I thought you meant the ears themselves on the outside. I thought you said they just fall off or something.
No,
so
not quite.
if you use a power tool, something very noisy for a long time, it can affect your hearing.
Just like if you were playing lots of loud music through headphones, they reckon that lots of young people now will be getting deaf by a very early age because they're using lots of headphones with noisy music.
Yeah.
It's all cumulative. It's like going in the sun. If you go in the sun many times over lots of years, your skin will get older and older. And it's the same with loud noises. You don't go deaf straight away. It happens over many years. So I always wear these, and I'd love to wear them while you're talking. That's when I like to really put them on.
So you can't hear me?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying? Are you telling me that you don't like the sound of my voice? Because can I just say now, you are not the first person to say that. You are not the first person. And I'm sure you're not the last either. So here we go. What are we doing today, Mr. Steve? What are we doing?
Well, it's your show. I'm not quite sure. I just come along for the ride. So I think we're talking... did you mention childhood memories?
We are talking about childhood memories. We've had one or two, not many. So if you have a childhood memory of your own, but we are going to talk about our childhood memories. Also, we are going to embarrass each other by showing pictures of us when we were children. Would you like to see a picture of Mr. Steve? So first of all, I am going to embarrass Mr. Steve. So here is the first picture. This is Mr. Steve. I think in this photograph you must be about 5 or maybe 6. I think you are about 6 years old. So here is Mr. Steve. Yes. Oh my goodness. I love that picture. Isn't that just and you look so happy there. I love the look on your face. You look very smug.
Is that when I was a Boy Scout?
You are a Boy Scout there.
A Boy Scout, yes. Dib, dib, dib.
I can see that your knees are very dirty.
That's because I've been on my knees, because you have to do lots of things when you're a Boy Scout.
On your knees?
Scrabbling around on your knees,
really?
Yes. Doing, gardening, things like that.
Okay,
all sorts of jobs that you have to do. You have to get all these badges, don't you? Were you a Boy Scout, Mr. Duncan?
I was a Boy Scout. I didn't do it for very long, and I will tell you why. I stopped being a Boy Scout because they used to take us swimming on Saturday. So every Saturday they would take us swimming, and I hated swimming. I hate water. I can't swim to this very day. I can't even swim at all. So they took me swimming every Saturday, and that's the reason why I stopped being a Boy Scout. I stopped doing it because I hated swimming. I hated it so much. So I actually quit the Boy Scouts. I stopped it. I stopped going because I didn't like the swimming.
Did you sink like a stone when you went in the water, Mr. Duncan?
I was very good at drowning. So there is one thing that I did master. There is one thing that I was very good at when I was a child. I was very good at drowning.
I can just imagine now the sports teacher having to drag you out of the pool and pump your lungs to get all that water out of your lungs, and then you had to be revived. I can just see the scene now.
Yes, there may have been some pumping taking place.
Right. So was that a happy childhood memory or a not very happy childhood memory?
It's sort of in between, really.
Right. Okay. Not sure we've got off to a good start here with childhood memories. Drowning in a pool.
Okay then, Mr. Steve. If you think you can do better than me, first of all, let's have a look at one of me, because we've had a picture of Mr. Steve when he was little. So this is Mr. Steve as a Boy Scout. So now we are going to have a look at me. So this is me. And I was aged around about 5 or 6 as well. So this picture is taken at around about the same age as Mr. Steve's Boy Scout picture. And there I am. Oh, it's me. Looking all lovely and cute, just like now. What do you think, Mr. Steve? Do you like that photograph of me?
You look like a girl. Very angelic. It looks like you're about to do a ballet pose or something.
Yes. That was taken during one of the many Christmas family reunions that we had. We always had little reunions at Christmas where all the family would get together. And there I am. You may notice 2 things about me there. 2 things. Can you guess what they are, Mr. Steve? What are the 2 things that have changed?
Well, mentally you haven't changed.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes.
You're still a child mentally. Physically, you had more hair in that picture. I can see that.
Okay.
But what else has changed? You're taller. You put on more weight. You've lost hair and put on weight.
Okay, then.
That's what I'm saying.
There's something very obvious that's different.
Very obvious.
Very obvious.
Have you got I can't see it from here. Have you got glasses on?
No.
Ah.
That was before I started wearing glasses. So this picture was taken before I started wearing glasses. I didn't start wearing glasses until I was about 7 years old. So I started wearing glasses when I was 7. And that brings me to one of my childhood memories in school. Now, between you and me, I must admit I didn't like school very much. I wasn't a big fan of school. I hated it so much. I was a very timid child. Can you believe it?
No, because in front of this camera you look very outgoing.
I was very shy, very timid when I was very, very young, very little. I was shy, introverted. I was an introvert as a child. I wouldn't say anything in class. I was very shy.
You wouldn't say, as the expression goes, you wouldn't say boo to a goose.
I wouldn't say boo to a goose.
Yes.
I was so shy. And one of the things that happened during my early school days was I started to lose my eyesight. I realised that I couldn't see the blackboard. So what happened over a period of time, I couldn't see the board. So when the teacher was writing things on the blackboard, I couldn't see what she was writing or what he was writing. And so over time, my education actually suffered because of it. This is true, because I was so scared. I was too afraid to tell anyone that I couldn't see the blackboard anymore. I was really, really afraid, genuinely scared to tell anyone. And this happened over a period of months, many, many months. And the teachers became very concerned, and they wondered why my education was slipping, why I seemed to be doing so badly in class. And the reason was because I couldn't see the blackboard. So one day I told one of the teachers that I couldn't see the blackboard. So they gave me some help. In fact, what they did, they put me right in front of the blackboard. So my desk was right in front of the blackboard. So the blackboard was right in front of me. So I was sitting looking at the blackboard like that.
That must have been very embarrassing in front of the rest of the class.
It was. I had to sit in front of everyone in the classroom. Really embarrassing. It was a bit like being at the cinema when you're on the front seat. So when you have the front row in the cinema, you can't see the screen properly because you're so close. So you have to look up at a strange angle.
It's amazing, isn't it? These days you'd be able to sue your teachers, wouldn't you?
I think so. You could,
if you were treated like that, in that kind of degrading way. I would say it was quite degrading for you to have to sit in class like that.
It wasn't fun.
All the other children, but I expect they were laughing at you, weren't they?
I think one or two of the other classmates they were making fun. Yes, I think it must have looked very strange. So, Mr. Steve,
yes.
Let's remind ourselves of Mr. Steve when he was little. There he is, Mr. Steve as a Boy Scout. So, can you give us one of your childhood memories now, Mr. Steve?
A nice childhood memory.
Yes, please.
Well, I would say I had actually a very nice childhood. I haven't really got many bad memories. So, Dad used to like driving a lot, driving in cars. As his job for a living, he had to drive in his car a lot. So, even on holiday, he would still want to keep driving. And I grew up in the 70s, the 1970s, and it was fashionable then, if you lived in the UK, to go abroad on holiday to Europe, but to drive there. So you would put like a GB sticker, that's GB for Great Britain, on the back of your car. You'd stick that on, and then we'd drive to the south coast, to Calais, to Portsmouth or somewhere like that, Dover, on the south coast, and then you would drive onto a ferry, which in our case was quite often a hovercraft, because hovercrafts were quite fashionable modes of transport
Fashionable
at the time.
You know what, Steve? I don't remember the hovercraft ever being fashionable.
Yes, it was. It was, because if you were just hopping across the English Channel, which is about 30 miles, it's not very far from the English coast across to the French coast. So Dover to Calais is a popular route to take on holiday, ferries, and the hovercraft. There used to be lots of programs about it. It was very exciting to go on a hovercraft, like being on a spaceship.
So a hovercraft is like it looks a bit like a car, but it floats on a big cushion of air. It goes across the water.
Very exciting. I don't think they use them so much now. But so we used to go across in the ferry. Would drive all the way through France. We'd stop at various towns along the way, sample the French cuisine, and then we drove all the way to Spain on this particular occasion, and that was a lovely holiday. And Estati is the name of the town we drove to. I can still remember that now. And we had a lovely holiday, and we all got sunburned, of course, as you do, because we didn't really have sunblock in those days.
Are we still on? That is the question. YouTube is now telling me that we are offline, but everybody is... I don't know what's going on here. YouTube is now telling me that we are not broadcasting any longer, but my... everything else is saying that we are. Are we still on? Because I'm getting the red sign that's saying that we are not on. So are we on? Can someone please say that we are still on broadcasting live? I think we're back now. Yes, it looks like we're back. That was nothing to do with us. We seem to have a little bit of a technical problem there, Mr. Steve. For some reason. I don't know what happened there.
A YouTube problem, not you.
Let me just explain. My screen went red, which means that the connection is lost. But it would appear that people were still watching.
Oh.
So I don't know. It's very strange. But now it's gone green again. So that means we're okay.
Right.
I do apologise for that, Mr. Steve. It's almost as if YouTube got bored of your story.
Right.
It's almost like YouTube was saying, Mr. Steve, we don't want to hear. This is YouTube. We don't want to hear about your story. We're back again.
Okay, so the short version is we drove all the way to the south coast of Spain in a car. So that's the quick version. We hit a big bump on the way, and the car was a brand new car, and we hit a big bump in the road because the roads in Spain weren't very good at the time, and we nearly wrecked the car.
Okay, that's brilliant.
So that's a good memory.
A good memory, sort of, because of course I think, as I mentioned earlier, I think maybe you are a little bit posher than me, because we didn't really go very far on holidays. We never went abroad because we couldn't afford it. But of course you could, being posh and everything, living in the Cotswolds as you did.
And what you used to do is to let everybody know you'd been on holiday abroad in those days, back in the 1970s, is that you had, because by law you had to put a big sticker on the back of your car so that when you were driving in another country, people knew which country you were from. But when you came back, you would leave it on for several weeks so that everyone would know that you'd been on holiday abroad. And it was like a one-upmanship thing, you know. Tell the neighbours, look, we've driven abroad. That's what you did in those days.
You keep using phrases that people might not understand. One-upmanship.
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 Yes. Oh, that means that you're, in a way, you're competing with your neighbours, for example, and you do one thing better than them. So if they hadn't been on holiday abroad in a car and driven across the channel, sailed across the channel, you could say, yes, we've done that, and you're secretly sort of getting one over on them. You're better. You're trying to be better than your neighbours or your friends. It's a bit snooty. It's not a very nice thing to do, really. But of course, we were snooty, posh.
Okay, but I think one-upmanship is like you want to do something better than someone else. So you want to do the. So if one person goes on holiday for a week, you want to go on holiday for 2 weeks, because then you beat the thing that they did.
Yes.
So one-upmanship is almost like competing. You are always trying to compete, or you are always trying to beat the other person.
Yeah, so if your neighbour gets a new car, that's one-upmanship in a way. It's a bit childish.
Apologies once again, because YouTube, it wasn't me, YouTube had some strange little problem. They cut us off.
They did.
During Mr. Steve's story, and then we suddenly came back again. So I do apologise for that. It wasn't me, it was YouTube. I don't know why. I think YouTube is trying to sabotage me, to be honest. They don't like me very much anymore, YouTube, because I'm not sexy. I think that's the reason why. They only like sexy people now on YouTube, and because I'm not very sexy, they're just ignoring me. So I think that's the reason why.
Yes, but you've got me now.
Yes, that's the reason why I brought you in, Mr. Steve. You are here. You have been brought in to bring some sexiness to the live stream.
Well, there you go.
That's why you are here. Okay, another one of my childhood memories. Let's have another look at... Actually, we've got some more pictures here. We've got another one of Mr. Steve as a child. We'll have a look at that in a minute.
Okay.
Here's another one of me. So this is a picture of me taken after I started wearing glasses. Here it is. Oh my goodness. So this is really me when I was a kid. A bit older. I think I was about maybe 12, maybe 13, maybe 14, maybe about 14 years old in this picture. And as you can see, I'm now wearing glasses. So there is a picture taken of me, and another memory that I have, Mr. Steve, is when I started school. When I first went to junior school on the first day, we all had to go into this big hall for assembly.
Right.
And I always remember one of my friends, I remember his name, Stuart. No, not Stuart, it was Ross. Ross Tomlinson was his name, and he grabbed my shorts while I was standing up, and what he was trying to do is to get me to sit down. You can probably imagine what happened after that. So he grabbed my shorts to pull me down to sit, but unfortunately I stayed standing and my shorts came down. I'm not joking, this really happened on the first day of junior school. My shorts.
Were you wearing underwear?
I was.
Fortunately.
We weren't that poor. I know we were poor, but we weren't that poor. I did have underwear when I was a child, fortunately. So, pulled my trousers down. My shorts were pulled right down in front of the whole school.
You're not going to recover from that one quickly. Everyone's going to remember that forever.
No one is recovering from that. So you will notice that most of my childhood memories are not very good, not very happy. So please, Mr. Steve, give us a happy one now.
Oh, a happy memory. Well, talking of being posh, I suppose we were a bit posh compared to a lot of our neighbours, because Dad had a good job. So we used to play our garden. We had quite a big garden.
Yes.
And at the bottom of that garden, we put a tennis court on there. Can you believe it?
You had a tennis court at the back of your house?
We had a tennis court.
You had a tennis court?
Yes, and a miniature little putting green.
What? What's that? What's a putting green? Putting green? It means nothing.
Putting. It's golf. You know when people are playing golf and they hit the ball onto the green where the hole is, they putt.
Oh, I see.
They put the ball into the hole.
So it's like golf, but in your back garden.
That's right. You're not doing the really long shots, 200-yard shots. You're doing the just when it gets onto that nice smooth green, that's when you're just putting it.
So your garden wasn't that big?
It wasn't that big, no. But so we used to do that, and we used to play another very posh game called croquet.
Croquet?
Croquet.
I thought only the Queen of England played croquet on the lawn. Was it Queen Victoria? I think Queen Victoria. Yes. And I want to say Sir Walter Raleigh. Was it Sir Walter Raleigh? He actually
Sir
introduced.
Walter Raleigh, yes.
I think he introduced croquet to this country. Am I right?
Yes. I'm not sure about that, but you if people don't know what croquet is, you have long clubs with great big sort of mallet-like ends on them.
Well, I'm drawing a picture.
Oh, he's drawing a picture.
Here we go.
He's quite good at art, so he should be able to do that. And you have hoops in the ground and a ball about that size, and you have to put the club, I don't know whether you call it a club, through your legs and push these balls through the hoops. And it's quite a posh game. I don't think you'd play it these days. It's normally played by girls, really. Let's face it. So hoops, balls, and like a mallet. I think you call it a mallet.
Here we go.
But with a long handle on
I
it.
have my drawing. This is my representation of croquet.
Probably better than my explanation.
So there it is. So you can see you hit the ball, and then the ball goes underneath that hoop. It goes... You hit it, and then the ball goes underneath. So that is called croquet.
Yes.
And it's played by posh people, like Mr. Steve.
On a nice summer day, and then you would have some soft drinks with ice in. You would sit and relax, and you go and play. It's not very competitive. It's not like a very competitive sport.
What's a soft drink? I've never heard of
drink.
Is that like? So what's a hard drink?
That would be whiskey, vodka. A soft drink would be orange squash.
Oh, I see. So a soft drink is non-alcoholic.
Yes, a soft drink. I would think you would describe it as non-alcoholic. Could be fizzy pop, sometimes called orange juice, something like that. And you would serve it in jugs with ice in it, and you'd sit down and drink some of that. Oh, we're having a lovely time. Let's go and play croquet. And then you would spend half an hour just banging these balls around through the hoops. It's all good fun. But yes, traditionally played by people who come from posh backgrounds.
The next thing you'll be telling me is that you have piano lessons.
Oh yes, I had piano lessons, and my sister used to have ballet lessons. And horse riding. Of course, the thing is, my dad worked quite late. So when my sister had... This is a bad memory, actually. I've got a bad memory now. My sister used to have ballet lessons once a week. But because it was sort of at 5 o'clock and my dad wasn't home, my mum used to take my sister. But I had to go with both of them, because otherwise I'd have been home on my own, which, of course, isn't a good idea. So I used to, all the boys at school used to see me going into where my sister was having her ballet lessons and assumed I was having ballet lessons as well. So you can imagine the ribbing, the jokes I used to get at school because they were convinced I was having ballet lessons.
So your classmates used to pick on you because they thought you were having ballet lessons.
Because
there's nothing wrong with having ballet lessons if you're a boy or girl.
No, there isn't. But there isn't. But of course, you will have the Mickey taken out of you because
the what?
The Mickey jokes. People will make lots of jokes and laugh at you and things like that. That's just what boys do.
They will make fun of you.
They will make fun of you.
So if one person makes fun of another one, they pick on them by making jokes against them.
Yes.
You can say they take the Mickey out of them.
That's right.
I would love to know where that comes from, by the way. I'd love to know where that came from.
Yes, I don't know. We'll have to look that one up.
Okay, well, that's very nice. Now, another thing we're talking about today, besides our childhood memories, is also abbreviations. Now, when we talk about abbreviations, we talk about words that have been shortened, or maybe we have shortened a sentence, so we make it easier to say and also quicker. So normally abbreviations are used to save time. Would you say that's true?
That's right. They're used a lot these days, aren't they?
They are. And there is a particular type of abbreviation. In fact, there are two that we are going to look at today.
Okay.
We have initial abbreviation. Do you know what initial abbreviation is, Mr. Steve?
Is that where you just use the first letter of the word? Is that correct?
It is indeed, yes.
I thought you were going to cut in there.
I thought you was going to elaborate there with something else. But yes, initial abbreviation means that you take the first letter of the words in whatever it is you are abbreviating. Sometimes you don't use all of the words, but quite often you will use them. So first of all, we have initial abbreviation. Abbreviations are very useful. In grammar, we also have abbreviations in words. We will sometimes shorten sentences, and we call that contraction. So a contraction is when you shorten a sentence to make it easier and quicker to say, such as don't. So do not becomes don't. So that is a contraction. Right. Initial abbreviation takes, as I said, the first letters of the word. We're going to have a look at some now.
I was going to say, have you got any examples, Mr. Duncan?
I have. We have some examples of initial abbreviations, and I want you to guess what they are. So we're going to go through these quite quickly.
This could be embarrassing.
So here we go. Here is the first initial abbreviation, and feel free to join in, everyone. If you want to join in, feel free.
Don't Google it.
I think there is a serious problem, by the way, this afternoon with the live stream. There is a little bit of a problem with the connection, but it isn't my fault. It is YouTube. YouTube once again trying to destroy my live streams. I don't know why they hate me. Here we go. Here is the first initial abbreviation. I think this is a very good one for us. There's the first one.
I can't see it.
VIP.
VIP. VIP. Ah, that's you, Mr. Duncan. A very important person.
Ooh, that's very kind of you.
Yes.
But of course, YouTube doesn't think that I'm very important. They don't like me whatsoever. But yes, you are right. VIP means very important person. VIP. Or as they say in Hollywood, for some of the famous film stars, very impotent person.
That's a different thing altogether.
That's a different thing altogether. Here is the second one. I hope you're enjoying this. Please play along at home. If you are playing along at home, please let me know what you think it is. Hung Najuan says, what are the differences between I have little hope and I have a little hope? Little hope is no hope. If you have a little hope, it means you have some. So little is normally a very small amount or almost nothing, and a little means you have some. So you have little hope of finding your dog. That means you have virtually no hope. But if you say you have a little hope, it means there is some hope. I hope that helps you. So here we go, another abbreviation, Mr. Steve.
Okay, I'm ready with my pen because I need to write this down.
MP.
Oh, right. MP, yes. Should know what that is, at least in the UK. It's Member of Parliament.
Member of Parliament. Yes, quite often we call a person who sits in Parliament, the government here in the UK, for example. Yes, we will call them an MP. MP, which is an abbreviation of Member of Parliament. You are right, yes, Member of Parliament.
These are easy, Mr. Duncan.
Well, maybe for you. Maybe for you they're easy, because you have a slight advantage, you see, because you've been talking English. I've been teaching English, and you've been talking in English. So we both have an advantage. Here is another one, DND.
DND?
DND.
DND.
I sometimes put this on my studio door to keep Mr. Steve away.
Oh, that's... Yes, oh, do not disturb.
There it is, yes. DND means do not disturb.
You find this a lot at work because there's a lot of technology at work these days, and you find that a lot of that technology is often abbreviated, and at work you tend to find this is people talking these kind of almost... talking about, they just talk letters all the time and you wonder what they're talking about.
I think the word you're looking for is jargon.
Jargon. Unless you're in on what the jargon is and what all these abbreviations are, you can get a bit lost.
So jargon, when we say jargon, we mean technical speak or words that are specific for one thing, jargon. So you can say computer jargon. So computer jargon is something that only people who know a lot about computers will understand. Yes. Here comes another one now.
Right.
How are we doing for time? About 22, maybe 23 minutes to go. Here is another one, Mr. Duncan. This is just for you because we know you like cars. I'm not sure if you like this particular car.
Right.
BMW.
Oh, yes. BMW, a German car, good quality, sporty. I think it stands for Bavarian Motor Works.
I heard that you don't like BMWs, Mr. Steve. Is that true?
No, I do. They've got a certain image, but they're good cars. You can't knock BMWs, and they are very sporty, of course. That's their image. Good handling.
Okay, Mr. Steve is turning into Jeremy Clarkson this afternoon. So BMW, yes, is it Bavarian Motor Works? Yes, it is.
Oh.
BMW, Bavarian Motor Works.
Glad I got that one right.
That is the initialization of BMW. Bavarian Motor Works. Okay, one more.
Bavaria, of course, being a region in Germany.
Oh, really? Bavaria?
Well, I'm not sure exactly, but it refers to Bavaria. I'm sure it's a region in Germany.
I think you'll find it is.
That's anybody in Germany watching would maybe be able to correct us or give us the correct explanation of that.
Mr. Steve wants to know where Bavaria is.
It's definitely in Germany, but I'm not sure whether it's referred to as Bavaria now or whether it was referred to Bavaria many years ago. So that would be interesting to know.
Tomek says Bayern, not Bayern, it is Bavarian Motor Works.
Oh,
Bavarian
okay.
Motor Works. Okay,
Bayern,
then.
right.
Here's another one, Mr. Steve. Now this is an interesting one, especially if you're talking about technology, as you were just. LED. So that is an abbreviation. LED.
LEDs, lots of talk about LEDs these days. LED televisions, LED headlights.
Yes, on cars.
On cars, I've got cars and again there. It's light emitting diode.
Light emitting diode. Emit. What does emit mean?
Gives off.
Give off. Yes, if you give off something, normally light or sound, we can say you are emitting. So there it is, yes. LED stands for light emitting diode. There it is.
A diode being a small electronic device.
Yes.
And you put electricity through it, it gives off light.
Many cars now have LEDs on their headlights.
They do. They used to be expensive. You used to have ordinary sort of halogen bulbs or tungsten bulbs. Then you went on to LED bulbs now, which are, well, they're not bulbs as such. They're actually, it's a separate thing altogether. So they're very bright. They used to be very expensive. But now, xenon, that was the word I was thinking of. Xenon bulbs, they were very bright bulbs on car headlights. But now you've got LEDs, which are even brighter. And I think last a very long time.
Oh, okay then. Well, you would know about it because you are a bit of an expert on cars, besides being a grinder. So Mr. Steve knows a lot about grinding, but he also knows a lot about cars as well. Elk Noah says in German it's Bayrich Motorenwerke.
Ah, right, okay.
So that's what BMW actually is in German.
So it's just what we call it in the UK.
So we simplify it, you see.
Right.
I see. Thank you very much, Elk, for that.
Thank you.
Here comes another one. This is one that we will recognise. BBC.
BBC, yes.
This
known throughout the world as an impartial broadcasting organisation. It's the British Broadcasting Corporation.
I'm not sure about impartial, but some people think that I should be on the BBC. I think I would be very good on the BBC. Hello, this is the BBC, Radio 4, and now it is time for the shipping forecast. Did you like that?
It's okay.
Not as posh as you, of course.
Oh no, I would be incredibly posh on the BBC. Of course, these days you have regional accents. Now we don't speak proper English all the time on the BBC. You can come on with any old accent now, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that.
You're right. You're right. You come from Birmingham. You come from Selly Oak. You come from Spark Hill. This is Radio 4.
Mixture of accents there, but
did you like my that was Birmingham accent? That was. Leave my accents alone.
Bit of Liverpool there as well, I think.
So BBC, what does BBC stand for, Mr. Steve?
British Broadcasting Corporation.
The British Broadcasting Corporation is the BBC. Let's have a look, shall we? Ding! British Broadcasting Corporation is the BBC, yes. A place where I would love to work, but they don't want me because I'm not posh enough. I think Mr. Steve would get onto the BBC. I think so. So another one.
There's more.
There's more. We have about, let me just see how many we have. We have about three more. And then we will say goodbye. We will look at a couple of more pictures. We've got 2 more pictures of Mr. Steve when he was little. Oh, well, actually, there's one of me and there's one of Mr. Steve. So that still to come. So here we go. Another one. This might not be familiar to you, but I will use it anyway.
Go ahead.
CIA. The CIA.
Oh, yes.
CIA.
Oh, yes, this is American. This is the Central Intelligence Agency. CIA.
Was that your Birmingham accent?
That was my attempt at a Southern American accent. Central Intelligence Agency. I just threw it out there.
You certainly did, and now I'm throwing it away. Here we go then, yes.
Famous intelligence organisation in America.
What is it then? Tell us again what it is.
It's the Central Intelligence Agency. I've said it 3 times already.
Yes, well, I want it again. I want it in your normal
Okay.
voice. And in an American accent.
Central Intelligence Agency.
And the British.
Central Intelligence Agency.
Now Welsh.
Let's move on, shall we?
Can't you do a Welsh accent? I thought you were an actor.
Not just quickly like that. How about, I've got one for you, which is related to this. What about KGB?
Oh, KGB.
KGB.
Yes, well, I haven't got that one. KGB. So what does the KGB stand for?
No
It sounds
idea.
like something very old-fashioned and dated. It sounds like we're going back to the 1950s and the 1960s during the Cold War. So the KGB. I haven't got that one, by the way. I don't have it here. So KGB. What does that stand for?
What does it stand for? Anyone in Russia watching, we want to know. We know it's the Russian intelligence agency,
Yes.
equivalent to the CIA in America.
But how do you pronounce it in
what
Russian?
does it stand for?
What does it mean? KGB. Ooh, interesting. I hope someone answers that, because I'm now scratching my head, wondering as well.
Of course, in England, we've got the MI5.
MI5. What does that stand for?
Again, no idea. We don't know. I don't think anyone. Does anyone know what MI5
Are you just going to keep mentioning things that we don't know the answer to?
Yes, I just thought I would complete the talking about intelligence agencies around the world, and they're all obviously abbreviated.
So
in
Galena
similar
says KGB, but we want to know what KGB stands for. So we have the initials KGB.
Yes.
But what does it mean? What does it stand for? Here's another one.
Why don't we phone Vladimir Putin and ask him? He might be able to tell us.
No,
We've got a
what we have to do
hotline.
first is ask Donald Trump.
Yes.
Here we go. FBI. This is linked to the last one.
Ah.
FBI.
Ah, right. Well, this is American again. Federal Bureau of Investigation. Or investigations.
The Federal Bureau of Investigation. So what is the difference between FBI and CIA? Is there a difference?
I'm not sure. I think FBI is more to do with sort of what happens just in America itself. It's more like an extension of the police force, I think. Whereas I think CIA is more to do with spying and looking all around the world. I think I might be correct in that.
Simona has actually told us what KGB stands for.
Right.
I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to read this because it is in Russian. Komitet Gostotvenoi Bezopasnosti. Wow.
We'd love to hear that pronounced correctly.
Komitet Gostotvenoi Besop.
But what does that mean? What does that mean in English?
I haven't finished yet. Please let me finish. It's very long. There are lots and lots of letters in this.
We haven't got much time, Mr. Duncan.
Simona. Thank you very much for that. I hope I pronounced that right. I'm probably going to get into big trouble now because of that. Big trouble. I don't know about YouTube cutting me off. I think maybe the KGB will be cutting me off. It sounds very painful. Here we go. So FBI, we've had that one. And finally, we have one more. And then we're going to look at something different. EU.
Oh, EU.
EU.
Well, that's very topical in this part of the world at the moment. European Union.
European Union.
Yes.
I want to see European Union. Ding. Yes, European Union. The thing that we will be leaving very soon. The UK is leaving the EU. Leaving. We are saying goodbye. That's what's happening at the moment. I think it might take forever for us to actually leave, but it is happening, albeit very slowly.
Let's not get into that.
So let's have a look at a different type of abbreviation. We also have something called an acronym. Acronym. Do you know what an acronym is, Mr. Steve?
That is that. I'm trying to describe it. That would be the letters of something you want to describe, but it forms a word of its own.
Yes, that's quite accurate. Yes.
Right.
So an acronym is the abbreviation, but the abbreviation actually creates a new word, and I will give you some examples right now.
So what we've just described then, those didn't describe words.
No, they are initials. So that's why you say the initial words.
So they don't form words, but an acronym is an abbreviation that actually forms a word itself.
Yes. So you take the initials, but the initials actually spell a word, and we are going to have a look at one right now. Here we go. OPEC.
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 Is that a word?
It is.
Okay.
Well, it is. It is. It is the thing we were just talking about.
It sounds like something. It sounds like what we were just doing before. So this is actually an acronym, right? Okay, then. It's something to do with Europe. No, I don't know. I can't think what OPEC stands for. It's the oil-producing countries, isn't it? That's it.
You are near. Very
oil.
good. Yes, OPEC. It is an acronym. Organisation of the Petroleum Exporting Countries. That's a big one.
Right.
So that's why instead of that, they say that OPEC. It's much easier to say. So there is a good example of an acronym. Much better, much easier to say. Another one. Here's one you might know, Mr. Steve. NASA.
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 NASA. I'm writing it down. That's obviously the space agency in America, but I can't think what the N and the A stands for. North American Space Agency, something like that.
Some people actually think that's what NASA is. It's interesting. A lot of people think that it is North America Space Agency, but it isn't.
Is it nautical? Something to do with nautical aviation? Something like that. It's more. Yes. Am I on the right track?
You are on the right track. You are clear for takeoff. 3, 2, 1.
Ah, right. Okay. So it's actually connected to maybe the Air Force in America.
I give you the answer because we're running out of time.
Quickly.
The National Aeronautics and Space Administration is what NASA stands for. National Aeronautics. So everything to do with flying. Flying around or flying into space.
I'm glad you gave us that demonstration of what flying is like.
Yes.
That little...
I just like
in case
waving.
nobody knows what flying is.
I just like waving my hands around, Mr. Steve.
That was in the news, but we're off to Mars apparently in 2020.
I'm going to Mars next week. Haven't you heard that you can actually get an Uber now? Uber have started doing taxis to Mars. Did you know that? So forget about Elon Musk. You don't need him. You just call an Uber. You just go to your phone and say, "Hello Uber, can I have a taxi to Mars?" It will take about 68 years, but you will get there. Finally, here is the one that most people know. I think you saw this earlier. I accidentally held it up, by the way, so most people have seen this already today. Here it is. LASER.
Oh, LASER.
LASER is the most famous acronym. So most people know all about this acronym, but what does it stand for?
I only know the first. I can never remember the whole thing. It starts off light amplification.
Yeah.
But I don't know the rest of it.
Okay, LASER. LASER.
Anybody know what LASER stands for?
So
don't Google it.
It is a very well-known acronym, and of course, laser is choo, 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 like a laser beam.
Just in case you didn't know what a laser was.
Or pew, 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 a laser gun, like in Star Wars. So there it is, laser. The answer is light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. That is what the acronym LASER stands for. Light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. So there it is. And that is the final one. There is one more. that some people think that this is an acronym. I'm going to show you it now, but it isn't. Brexit. Some people think that Brexit is an acronym, but it isn't. No, Brexit is actually what we call blend word. So you blend, you take two words and you mix them together. So Brexit, the thing that we are doing at the moment, very slowly, actually is British exit. So you take part of one word and you join it to another word. So British exit is Brexit. There we go. We are going out in the garden now. Would you like to hang around for a few moments, Mr. Steve?
Yes, certainly, yes.
We are now going outside. We did a big job in the garden this week, didn't we? We went outside and we did a big job.
I was exhausted afterwards.
I was really tired. I don't know about you, but whenever I do a big job, I always feel very exhausted.
Just like I was at the end of last week's show.
So this is something we were doing during the week. We're going to have a look, and then Mr. Steve and myself will come back and we will say goodbye. So this is something we were doing earlier in the week.
Oh, hello, Mr. Steve.
Hello there, Mr. Duncan.
And hello, everyone watching out there in YouTube land. We are out in the garden. It's a beautiful evening. It's a little bit chilly, but we are out here for a special reason, because we are going to cut down the Dunculus, the big Dunculus that is growing at the moment in the garden. So what are we going to do, Mr. Steve?
Well, the full name of the plant is a Cardunculus, and of course we bought this particular plant because it's got a mention of your name in it. So Cardunculus sounds like Duncan, which is, of course, your first name.
So I actually spotted this plant in the shop. I said to Mr. Steve, I said, "Look, Mr. Steve, this plant is called Cardunculus, and my name is Duncan." So I couldn't resist. I said to Mr. Steve, I said, "Let's buy one, and then we can have a Dunculus growing in the garden."
Yes, Mr. Duncan, you wanted to have a plant in the garden that sounded like it was named after you. What an ego.
Of course, I couldn't resist buying it, because it's called Cardunculus, and my name is Duncan. Mr. Steve is busy pulling up the sticks that have been holding up the Dunculus for so long. Come on, Mr. Steve, give it a good pull. There it goes. You're very good at this. You can see Mr. Steve is thinking about it. Will he be able to carry out this huge task? Because of course this is a very big plant. Look at the size of it. So what do you think, Mr. Steve? Do you think you'll be able to do it?
Yes, this plant needs chopping down because it dies off in the winter, and therefore if we leave it out it won't look very nice, because you can see the one behind is already dying off. This is what you call a perennial plant, which means that it dies off during the winter months and comes back again in the spring.
So this plant will kind of regenerate itself.
Yes.
So this plant here will die off. So we will cut it away, and then next year a new plant will reappear as if by magic.
It's grown this height in one growing season, and the new baby plants are already present at the base.
That's incredible. Can you see this particular thing here, Mr. Steve? It is called a capitulum, or, as it's more commonly known, a flower head. Careful, Mr. Steve. We wouldn't want that big plant to fall on your head. So Mr. Steve will now put all of the bits of the Dunculus into the wheelie bin. I must admit, this is turning out to be a very busy evening. Job done. And there it is. Already you can see next year's cardunculus growing. And a year from now, we'll be cutting this one down.
I hope you enjoyed that. We were very busy in the garden during the week, incredibly busy preparing for the cold months, because the cold months are on the way, aren't they, Mr. Steve?
They are, yes. Time to wrap up warm, put your woolly hat on and your scarf, and put the heating on. Light the fire.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that. There's nothing nicer. I was actually talking about this earlier because our winters here in the UK aren't as cold or as horrible as they used to be. We used to get lots of snow. When we were young, we used to have lovely winters where we could go out and play in the snow, but these days we don't get any, do we?
I don't think we've had snow for about 4 years.
That's incredible.
I know.
So hopefully this winter we will have a lot of snow, and then we can do a live stream outside in the snow. That would be amazing. That would be like a dream come true if we could do that.
We can have a snowball fight live on air.
I've got a leaf on my hat. Wait there. Ooh. There it is. See? Autumn. Autumn is here, you see. That's the reason why there are leaves falling everywhere. It's almost time for us to go. Can you believe how fast it's gone today? Before we go, here's another picture of Mr. Steve. Now, this is one that I know that you are very fond of. You are very fond of this picture. So here it is. This is Mr. Steve with his little dog. What was your dog's name?
My dog's name was Toby.
Oh.
Toby, and I was probably about 15 there, I would say.
15?
15 or 16, I think.
Really? 15? You look...
Maybe younger.
You look much younger there. I would have said you... Yes, I would have said you about 12, maybe.
12? I think I was a bit older than that.
Okay, then. You weren't that mature, were you?
I was a late developer.
As it were. So there it is. And is that your big garden you were telling us about?
That's part of it, yes.
So where's the tennis court?
It was in front of me. If you're looking at that picture, it would have been in front of me.
So that's part of your big garden. But
we had all the big stars coming to play on our tennis court. Billie Jean King.
The big stars, are you sure?
The big stars from the 1970s. I'm joking.
I think you're lying, definitely. Do you want to see one last picture? And this is a picture of me with my mum. And this is... I think this is the most embarrassing photograph that I have of me. Do you want to see? Now, a lot of people don't believe just how thin, how skinny I was when I was little, when I was young. So here is a photograph. I must have been around 15 years old when this was taken. So here I am with my mum. Prepare for something very unusual. So this is me with my mother. So there I am on the left, and look how thin I am. Look how skinny I was. I was so thin. It looks as if I haven't been eating for many weeks, but I used to eat all the time. In fact, I used to eat so much food. I used to eat chocolate. I used to go to the shops, and I used to go home with loads of chocolate. I used to go into my bedroom and eat tons and tons of chocolate. And there I am. So I was about 15, maybe even getting on for 16 when that was taken. But look, there's my lovely mum, my mummy. And this was taken in, I think, around about 1983, maybe 1982. Way back in the 1980s. So I was very thin back then.
You were indeed.
I was. It's time for us to go. Can you believe how fast everything has gone today? It's gone really, really quickly. What do you think? Do you think today's lesson, do you think today's live stream has gone quickly? I do. I think it's gone by very fast today.
I would agree. So I will go first and then I will let you wrap up the show.
Okay, Mr. Steve, I will let you go. I will see you next week. Have a super week.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much and see you next week.
Catch you later, Mr. Catch you later. Bye. He's gone. Mr. Steve has gone, and it's almost time for me to say goodbye as well. Thanks a lot for your company. We have been talking all about autumn today because autumn is one of my favourite seasons. It's one of my most favourite seasons of all the seasons that exist. It is definitely my most favourite. So there is a lesson on my YouTube channel where I talk all about autumn. And here is another clip. This particular excerpt comes right at the very end. It's time for me to go. I hope you have a great week. Thanks for your company. Before I go, of course, we have the answers to the mystery idioms. The first one, lots of people got this right. Shoot yourself in the foot. To shoot yourself in the foot. The meaning, to accidentally make a situation worse for yourself. You bring a problem on yourself through stupidity. You shoot yourself in the foot. And the second one, many people got this right as well. Push or pushing up the daisies. Pushing up the daisies. Meaning, the meaning is an idiom that means to be dead and buried. We can describe a dead person as pushing up the daisies. So there they are. Today's mystery idioms have been solved. I will see you next Sunday, 2 o'clock UK time. And of course, until then, I hope you have a great time. Stay safe. I will see you next week. It will be the 8th of October next week. Is there any significance? No, of course not, but I will see you then. This is Mr. Duncan in the birthplace of English saying thanks for watching me, talking to you live. Thanks also to Mr. Steve for joining us today as well. See you next week, and of course, you know what's coming next. Ta-ta for now.
Autumn serves as a reminder to us all that everything has a pattern, a beginning and an end. The seasons come and go, even in places where those changes are very subtle, but exist they do. Even in our lives there are seasons. A time to grow, a time to blossom, a time to live, and a time to die. These changes have and always will decide how things must be. Autumn's fall and winter's chill will choose the fates of you and me.